Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast. We are breaking down chapter 225 today, Man's Dream. And if that title doesn't send a shiver down your spine, I don't know what will.
This chapter is a mission statement. It is one of the most foundational chapters in the entire story. We open on one of the most humiliating moments for the crew, and by the end, it's transformed into one of their biggest victories, even though not a single punch is thrown by our heroes.
Exactly. It's pure emotional whiplash. We go from the absolute lowest of lows, watching our guys get beaten and spat on, to a man literally shouting the thesis of the entire series into the sky. He just stands there and says, "The age in which pirates dream will never end." And everything clicks. The whole arc, the whole series up to this point, it all snaps into focus.
It recontextualizes the whole scene. Bellamy thought he was winning a bar fight, but he was losing a war of ideologies. This is a moment that defines Luffy. And if you believe in those kinds of moments, if you feel that swell of emotion when that man speaks, then you're one of us. Make sure this podcast is in your feed so we can follow that dream together.
All right, let's get into it. The chapter kicks off right where we left off, in that dive bar in Mocktown. And Oda does not pull any punches with the visuals here. Luffy and Zoro are on the floor, bloody, beaten, and they are just taking it. The panels are brutal. You see Sarkis stomping on Zoro's head, Bellamy smashing a bottle over Luffy's. It's degrading.
It is, and it's meant to be. Bellamy and his crew are laughing, mocking them. They're talking about how the Marines are going soft, putting such a high bounty on a loser like Luffy. There's this smug arrogance to them that is just infuriating. They truly believe they are the new, correct way to be pirates.
This isn't like Arlong or Crocodile. Those guys were threats, they were villains, but there was a certain, a grandness to them. They saw Luffy as a legitimate obstacle. Bellamy doesn't even see Luffy as a person. He sees him as an idea to be stamped out, a joke. The condescension is what makes it so much worse than just a physical beating.
It's the ultimate dismissal, and Nami is the audience surrogate here. She is losing her mind. She's screaming at Luffy and Zoro to fight back, to do something. She can't understand why they're letting this happen, and you feel for her so much in this moment. She's watching her friends, these monsters of combat who have toppled warlords and fishmen empires, get trampled on by this hyena.
A hyena is the perfect word for him. He's just picking at what he thinks is a corpse. He doesn't have the guts to face a real lion. Nami is coming from a place of pure practical survival. In her world, the one Arlong created for her, if you have the power to fight back and you don't, you die. Or worse, you watch your loved ones die. She's screaming at them because she's terrified. She thinks their inaction is a form of surrender.
And Bellamy just doubles down. He spids his drink all over them, calls them a sore to his eye, and just keeps hitting them. They don't even flinch. They don't raise a hand. The look on their faces is this incredible mix of boredom and pity. They aren't angry. They're not scared. They're just enduring.
That's the part that gets me. It's not that they can't fight. We know, and Nami knows, that Luffy could end this in one punch. Zoro could probably do it with the hilt of his sword. It's that they won't. This is a choice, a deliberate, painful choice, and Nami's the only one who doesn't understand the rules of this particular game.
It speaks to how new this crew still is. Nami has seen Luffy fight for his friends, for countries, for a promise, but she hasn't seen him refuse to fight for his own pride. That's a different level of maturity, a different code that she hasn't been exposed to yet.
And of course, because these guys are the absolute worst, Sarkis sees her as a commodity. He asks how much it would cost to buy her off the crew since she's with such losers. It's so gross, so demeaning. He doesn't see a person, he sees property.
It's the final nail in the coffin of their worldview. Everything is transactional. Gold, power, people. If it doesn't have a price tag, it's worthless. Dreams are worthless because you can't spend them.
But Nami fires right back. She looks them dead in the eye and furiously tells them that she's way too good for a loser team like theirs. It's such a brilliant move. She takes their own insult, that Luffy's crew are losers for having dreams, and turns it back on them.
Even when she's angry with Luffy and Zoro, her loyalty snaps back into place the second an outsider threatens one of them. She's defending them by insulting them. It's perfect.
It's such a Nami thing to do. Her anger at her own crew is a family matter. The moment an outsider steps in, the walls go up. It's a verbal judo move. She takes the insult of them being losers and turns it into a badge of honor that Bellamy's crew could never wear. They all laugh at her, of course, because they're incapable of understanding that kind of loyalty, and then Bellamy tells them to get lost.
So Nami just has to drag Luffy and Zoro's limp bodies out of the bar. She's in tears. The whole town is jeering at them, calling them cowards, and it is just a rock-bottom moment. You feel the humiliation pouring off the page. The art here is phenomenal. You see Nami's frustration and sadness, the vacant expressions on Luffy and Zoro's faces, and the mocking laughter of the crowd. It's a masterclass in conveying tone.
Okay, but think about what this means. This isn't just about Bellamy being stronger in this isolated moment. This is a philosophical conflict. Bellamy New Age is about pragmatism, cynicism, and materialism. You take what you can, you laugh at dreams, you believe only in what you can see and touch and steal. Luffy and Zoro refusing to fight is a rejection of that entire worldview. They are saying, your world, your rules, your values, they have no power over us. They're not worth our energy.
It's the Shanks playbook. It's the mountain bandit scene from chapter 1 all over again. A guy spills booze on you, insults you, talks a big game, and you just laugh it off because that fight doesn't get you any closer to your dream. It's a distraction. It's a gnat buzzing around your head when you're trying to climb a mountain.
And Luffy learned that lesson sitting right next to his hero. He internalized it. Shanks told him, you can pour drinks on me, you can throw food at me, I'll even laugh it off. But, good reason or not, nobody hurts a friend of mine. Bellamy didn't hurt a friend. He just hurt Luffy's pride, which Luffy has learned is not the same thing. He's not refusing to fight out of weakness, he's refusing to fight out of strength. He knows which battles actually matter.
That's such a critical distinction, and it's a lesson Zoro has clearly learned as well. Think about early Zoro, the guy who fought Mihawk and would have died rather than take a step back. You could argue that early series Zoro would have fought here, but he's grown. He understands Luffy's code now. He looks to his captain, and when Luffy doesn't move, he doesn't move. That's trust. That's true loyalty.
It's a quiet moment of perfect synergy between them. They are completely in sync without a single word needing to be exchanged. They understand the nature of this enemy in a way Nami doesn't yet.
And Bellamy doesn't get it. He thinks he won. He thinks he proved dreams for kids and that he's the future of piracy. And in that bar, to all those people, it looks like he did. He's the strong one, the winner. The guy with the bounty is just a chump on the floor.
But then, outside, everything changes. The perspective shifts entirely. Nami is crying, trying to understand what just happened, trying to process this perceived failure, and a voice cuts through all the noise, a deep, booming voice.
It's the guy from before, the cherry pie guy. He just says, plain as day, Sky Island exists. It's so simple, so direct. It's the validation they were just denied, coming from the most unexpected source.
And he asks Nami why she's sad. His face is so interesting. It's not a soft, comforting face. It's rugged, scarred, missing teeth. But his words are exactly what's needed. He says, there's nothing to be sad about. They won this fight.
That line hit so hard. I remember reading that for the first time and just getting goosebumps because they did. They absolutely won. They protected their dream by refusing to let it be dragged into the mud by someone who doesn't even have one. That's the victory. It's not about who can punch harder. It's about who's still standing for something at the end of the day.
It's the central thesis of their actions. The fight Bellamy wanted was on his terms, in his world. By refusing to engage, Luffy and Zoro forced the conflict to be about something else entirely, the value of a dream. And on that battlefield, Bellamy was disarmed from the start. He didn't even know the fight was happening.
It's so good. And then we get that quick flashback of Luffy, a tiny little kid telling Shanks and Ace that he's gonna surpass them. It's a reminder of the stakes. This isn't just a whim for him. This isn't some silly adventure. This is a promise made to the most important people in his life. It's the foundation of his entire being.
That flashback serves to ground us. It reminds us why his dream is so sacred. It was forged in the presence of his idol and his brother. To let a man like Bellamy tarnish it would be a betrayal of those memories.
Luffy even says to Nami she has guts for what she said in there. He's not mad at her for yelling at him. He gets it. He respects her fire. He understands she was defending them in her own way. And then he and Zoro just get up like it was nothing. They dust themselves off, totally nonchalant.
Because to them, it was nothing. The physical damage is temporary. A challenge to their dream, to their very soul. That's what matters. The beating was an inconvenience. Bellamy's nihilism was the real threat, and they defeated it by ignoring it.
And then the man just lets loose. The cherry pie guy, he just unleashes. He starts shouting that this new age Bellamy and his crew talk about is nonsense. It's a load of crap. He bellows it for the whole town to hear, directly challenging the cynical worldview that permeates Mocktown.
The age in which pirates dream will never end.
People's dreams are infinite. Super. That's it. That's the whole show. That is the core message of One Piece, stated out loud by a man with missing teeth holding a bottle of rum. It's perfect. It's not a king on a throne or a wise old sage. It's a random burly dude in a pirate town. The dream belongs to everyone.
It's directly refuting everything Bellamy stands for. Bellamy represents the death of romance, the death of ambition, the so-called realism that grinds people down. This man is the living embodiment of the opposite. He is the will of the old era, the era of Roger still burning. He's essentially saying that the spirit of Gold D. Roger is not dead, no matter how many Bellamys of the world try to spit on his grave.
He even says some fights are fistless. That's what this was. This was a battle of ideals, and Luffy and Zoro never even had to throw a punch to win. The man saw it, he understood it, and he validated it for Nami and for us, the readers.
Inside the bar, Bellamy's crew hears the shouting and just laughs, assuming Luffy is throwing a tantrum outside. They write it off as the pathetic whining of a loser. They are so blind to what's actually happening. They can't comprehend the scale of the event taking place right on their doorstep. They are literally deaf to the series' main theme being shouted outside their window.
The man wishes them luck on their trip to Sky Island and walks away. Luffy just watches him go. He understands. Zoro understands, but Nami is completely lost, as she should be. This has been an emotional and philosophical roller coaster for her.
She asks Luffy who that man was, a simple, logical question, and Luffy's response is so cryptic, it sends a chill down your spine. He says, I don't know, but it's not he.
Yeah, what was that about? It's so strange and specific. Nami's confused, I'm confused. It feels like a grammar lesson at the weirdest possible moment. And then Zoro just adds, it's probably them.
Them. That's the detail. Not a person, but a collective, a plural. Nami asks if he has a crew, but they don't answer. They just let the mystery hang in the air. The implications are staggering.
Bro, that's chilling. The guy seems like a solo act, just a big dude who likes pies and speeches. But if he's part of a them, what does that group look like? What is their goal? How many people like him are out there? People with this incredible presence and this deep philosophical understanding of the world.
This connects back to his first appearance just a few chapters ago, the argument with Luffy over the cherry pies. It seemed like a gag at the time, Luffy being Luffy, but his words then gain new weight now. He had a line, something about how some things just taste good and some things just taste bad, and that's that.
He's a man of simple, powerful convictions, and now we know those convictions might not be his alone.
But convictions that he shares with others, apparently. A crew of people who believe dreams never die? That sounds like a powerful force. Or a terrifying one, depending on what their dream actually is.
My mind immediately jumps to a name, one that has been floating on the periphery of the story. Marshall D. Teach, Blackbeard.
We saw him briefly mentioned by Dalton as the pirate who drove Wapol out of Drum Kingdom. He has a crew. He's a man of big appetites and seemingly a grand philosophy. The description fits. The physical build, the personality, it all starts to line up.
Hold on. So this guy, who just gave the most inspiring, heroic, goosebump-inducing speech we've heard in ages, could be Blackbeard? The guy who destroyed a country for his own gain? The guy who drove the old king out and left its people to suffer? That's a lot to process. That's a serious clash of ideals right there. How can the same man embody both?
That is the question, isn't it? It suggests a complexity that we haven't seen in a villain yet. He understands dreams, he champions them, but what is the nature of his dream? Perhaps a dream of chaos or a dream of ultimate power. His words are inspiring, but the potential identity behind them is deeply unsettling. He's a mirror to Luffy, but a dark one.
It feels like he's on Luffy's wavelength, but on a different frequency. Like they're both tuned into the same station, but one is broadcasting a song of freedom, and the other is broadcasting static and screams. I don't know, man. It's a lot.
One thing is for sure, he's not a simple background character. His words are going to echo through this story for a long, long time. And this reveal, this them, turns him from a curious bystander into a major, mysterious player on the world stage.
Okay, so while all this world-altering philosophical drama is going down, we cut back to the going merry. And Oda, the master of pacing, gives us a much-needed breath of fresh air.
The rest of the crew is trying to get her seaworthy.
And by the rest of the crew, we mean Usopp is working his heart out, patching up holes and hammering away, while Sanji, ever the pragmatist, suggests they should just get a new ship.
Bad move, Sanji. You do not say that to the captain of repairs, Usopp. He goes off on him, saying the ship is important and that's why he's always fixing it. He's so passionate about the Mary. And you know what? He's right. The Mary has been through everything with them. Reverse Mountain, Little Garden, Alabasta. She's earned her place.
It's a nice little character moment that foreshadows a much larger conflict down the line. Sanji is practical. The ship is a tool, and if it's broken, you get a new one. But for Usopp, the Mary is a member of the crew. It was a gift from Kaya. It's his responsibility. It's not just a tool you can replace. He has a deep personal connection to it.
And as the future shipwright of the crew, I gotta say, my man Usopp is preaching the gospel here. A ship is the soul of the crew. The Mary has a spirit. You can feel it. Sanji just doesn't get it yet. But Usopp's passion is so real.
It also leads into a wonderful comedic beat. It's a great dose of classic Straw Hat comedy after the intensity and emotional weight of the bar scene. Usopp makes this weird shut-up face at Sanji, pulling his cheek and eyelid down. It's so goofy and childish.
And Chopper, who is still basically a kid, thinks it's the funniest thing he's ever seen. His eyes turn to stars, and he begs Usopp to do it again. It's so pure. He's completely captivated by this dumb face.
So they start doing it together. It becomes their secret language of defiance against Sanji. When Sanji asks what they want for dinner, they both make the face at him, thinking they've won. Sanji, of course, just deadpans with that perfect blank expression, "Oh, you don't want any, huh?" Their panic is immediate and hilarious.
Classic cook's revenge. Never mess with the man who feeds you. It's the first rule of being on a pirate ship. It's a perfect lighthearted scene that reminds us what Luffy and Zoro were protecting in that bar. This found family, this goofy dynamic, the freedom to be silly and safe with each other. This is the dream. It's not just about finding the One Piece, it's about the journey with these people.
But Oda doesn't let us rest in the comedy for long. The tone shifts one last time. As Sanji is on the deck, smoking a cigarette and enjoying the quiet, he hears this strange singing.
Yeah, it's super creepy. It just cuts through the air. Salvage, salvage. It's off-key, it's rhythmic, it's unnatural. And he sees a boat approaching through the mist, a ship that looks wrong. It's cobbled together, strange looking.
Usopp and Chopper hear it too, and they are completely terrified. The mood goes from 100 to 0 in a split second. Chopper is freaking out, hiding behind Usopp, and Usopp says, "This song is..." And that's where the chapter ends.
Another killer cliffhanger. What is that? A ghost ship? A salvage crew? And what do they want with the Straw Hats? It feels like we just jumped genres from a philosophical drama to a horror movie.
It feels like Jaya is just throwing everything at them. Philosophical brawlers who question their very existence, giant sea monsters, and now potentially a haunted salvage ship. This island does not rest. It's a crucible testing them at every single turn.
This whole chapter was a ride. It starts with this deep, painful humiliation and ends with this soaring declaration of purpose, and then a creepy horror movie cliffhanger. Oda's range is it's incredible. He can make you feel a dozen different emotions in 20 pages.
It's a perfect example of what makes this story work. The stakes can be as big as the nature of dreams themselves, or as small as what's for dinner. And it all feels equally important because it's all part of the fabric of this crew's life.
Absolutely. And you have to wonder what this salvage crew is all about. It can't be a coincidence that they show up right when the Mary is in desperate need of repairs and they're about to undertake the most dangerous voyage of their lives. The timing is too perfect.
Nothing is a coincidence in a story like this. Every element feels deliberate. If you've got a theory about the salvage song or who them really is, we want to hear it. Let us know what you're thinking in the comments below.
All right, prediction time. What do you think is coming in chapter 226? I'll go first. My first prediction, we're going to meet this salvage crew, and they are 100% the key to getting the Mary ready for the sky. They'll have some weird, unconventional method for patching her up that's exactly what Usopp needs. It won't be normal shipwright work. It'll be some crazy slapdash but surprisingly effective method that fits the vibe of this island.
That makes sense. It would solve their immediate practical problem. My first prediction is related, but with a twist. The salvage ship isn't just salvaging normal shipwrecks. They're salvaging things that fall from Skypiea. They're the ones who collect the debris from the knock-up stream. That's how the Straw Hats are going to get their final piece of proof that the island is real. They'll pull a piece of Skypiean technology or a strange creature out of the water right in front of Usopp and Sanji.
Ooh, I like that. That would be the perfect way to convince the last remaining skeptics. Okay, my second prediction, this isn't the last we've seen of Bellamy. He thinks he won. He thinks Luffy is a coward. I bet he goes to confront Mont Blanc Cricket next to finish destroying the liars of the island and take his gold. And that is what will finally force Luffy's hand. He won't fight for his own pride, but he'll fight for another man's dream, especially a dream that's been passed down for generations. That's the fight that matters.
A very strong possibility. That aligns perfectly with Luffy's character. My second prediction is that the man, the one we suspect is Blackbeard, is going to be a shadow over the next chapter. Even if he doesn't appear, his presence will be felt. When the crew regroups, Luffy and Zoro will mention their encounter. When they describe the man and his speech to Cricket, Cricket will have a story about them that adds another layer to the mystery. Cricket, being a longtime resident of this lawless island, would have heard of a crew as infamous as Blackbeard's.
That would be super interesting. Cricket as a source of lore for this new threat. Okay, last one for me. I think the salvage crew is led by Masira, or one of the other salvage brothers from the start of the arc, the Saruyama Alliance. It just feels like Oda is bringing all the Jaya pieces together now. We met them looking for treasure underwater, now they're back to help with the ship. Their introduction felt too specific for them to be one-offs.
That's a good callback. That would tie the arc together neatly. My final prediction is that we will not see Luffy, Zoro, or Nami at all next chapter. It's going to be entirely focused on Sanji, Usopp, and Chopper dealing with this bizarre salvage crew and their creepy song. It will be a bottle episode on the Mary. This will build the tension by keeping the group separated, letting the strange and slightly terrifying nature of the new characters develop before the full crew is back together, leaving us to wonder how Luffy will react when he hears about this new development.
A whole chapter without the captain? Bold. But I could see it. Well, that's it for chapter 225, Man's Dream. What a chapter. It's one of those ones that you'll point to years from now and say, that's when I knew. That's when I knew what this story was all about.
It truly is a pillar of the series. Join us next time as we find out just what that creepy singing is all about. Until then, keep dreaming.
And keep it super. Thanks for listening to Inherited Dawn.